Hey guys, welcome to another LifeBuilds video. In today's video, we're going to be tackling the question, can my girlfriend, Zoya, can she fix up a motorcycle on her own and hopefully turn a profit at the end? Stay tuned.
Is a 2006 Suzuki Katana 600. It's listed for a fairly low price. The owner is looking to get rid of it. The listing was a little low quality. The bike was dusty. It has a rip in the seat, which makes it a great flip.
So we'll catch you guys at the motorcycle in about 5 minutes. Hey guys, as you can see behind me, we have the new 2006 Katana 600, and you may be noticing that we are outside my house here and not picking up the motorcycle. Let me catch you up what happened. So the ad said that the bike would run and drive, and when I was messaging with him, he said, yeah, it needs a tune-up, it needs a clean-up, but you can drive it home today. So I went there in our 7 Series, I brought motorcycle riding gear, and no trailer, nothing. I get there, the bike had no battery, it would not fire up, and when we finally got to fire up, it would only idle at like maybe 1100 RPMs and you could not rev it. As soon as you rev it, it would die. That's a pretty big issue when you're a couple hours away from home and you have no way to get it home. So I started, talking with the guy. He was an incredibly nice seller. We came up with a plan. He had a truck there and he wanted more for the bike than I wanted to pay. But I explained to him, the situation. I was like, look, I was planning to ride it home today. I was willing to pay you this. He said, well, I wanted to get this. We worked out a deal and he ended up delivering the bike to the house, which is super, super nice of him. So I paid him a little bit more than what I was going to because I was gonna have to go rent a trailer and a car to pick the bike up and take it home. But he was able to deliver it to our house for a really good price. So Zoya's gonna explain to us what needs to happen with the bike, and then we're gonna wash it and make this bike look really nice again.
Alrighty, now the bike is here, I will show you what is wrong with the bike and some things that we need to do. So first of all, it looks like the handle is a little bit bent, so it has been dropped. Next thing is that we need to clean out the carburetors, and also we need to clean out the battery, as well as potentially replace the tire, but we're not 100% sure. So that is so far of all we need to get done. So coming around this side, we can see a broken light. We're going to try to order a new one, but if not, we're just gonna have to go with it. We have a couple scratches over here. Obviously, we're gonna try to buff it out or wash it really well. We have a ripped seat, and also as well as aftermarket exhaust. Now let's clean the bike. lot better, but as you can tell, it's still faded out from sitting for a very long time in the sun through winters, I'm assuming. But now we're gonna go to the stores and pick up a couple different things to get this bike running good. goods. Okay, now that we're back from the store, we picked up a couple things. A battery, obviously, because it didn't work. WD-40 for cables and switches and all the things that are moving that's been sitting. Next one, we have a carb cleaner, obviously because this bike is carbureted, and a fuel cleaner because the fuel has been sitting and possibly is causing for the bike to not run well. Now that we switched out the battery, we're going to try to start this bike and see how bad the carbs are. Okay, let's try that one more time. Alright, as you can see, the bike is not staying running. So next thing we're going to be doing is pulling the carbs and trying to clean them.
Pull backwards. There you go, keep pulling. Make sure nothing's connected.
Now that we pulled all 4 carburetors, this is what they look like. And now we're going to clean the jets.
Get the high pressure.
Now that we got down to one of the carburetors and I got to learn what all of these do, we found this piece that is supposedly plugged in all of these little holes, and Michael has these handy little tools that I'm going to try to use, and we'll see how that goes. Now that I cleaned out every little hole, I'm going to spray everything down with the carb cleaner. Now that you saw the process of cleaning one first carburetor, we're going to do it to the 3 other ones, and then we're going to put the bike back together. After cleaning all those carburetors, we ended up starting to put the bike back together, and we ended up running into a rusty gas tank, which was kind of a disappointment. We ended up going through a process of trying to get that cleaned out, and it's been a couple of days. It's been sitting in what seemed to work was vinegar, and now the bike is all together, and I hope it starts up.
Okay, so now that we have the bike mostly assembled, we've cleaned out the rusty gas tank, we're gonna try to start this bike before we put it completely back together. However, the petcock valve for turning on the fuel, there's no writing on it, so I'm not exactly sure which is fuel on, which is on reserve. So we have a little bit of fuel in this. We're gonna try to give it a first start. It may take a few tries. So after a few attempts, we run the battery pretty low, and I figured out something that I should have found in the beginning. There is fuel letters on the side of the fairing. Who would have thought? I've never seen it on there. It's usually arrows on the actual petcock valve. But on the sides it says pre, on, and reserve for the fuel. So I now have it on. We're gonna let the battery charge for a few minutes. We're gonna try again, and the bike should start up. Here we go. We're gonna try to start the bike again. Here it is a month later, and I'm gonna tell you what happened with this Suzuki Katana 600. You see, the last clip you just saw was me just sitting there cranking the bike, and I was like, oh, you know, it's not getting fuel and all these things, and I'd spray carb cleaner occasionally, and it would kind of fire up, and it would never fully run. And it was the most frustrating bike. This bike has kicked me and Zoya so many times. And I'm gonna kind of walk you through the story of this bike and how we finally conquered it, what it was, and what we ended up doing to fix it, and how it looks now. Zoya made a comment off camera to me, and I think it's really funny, so I should share it with you.
For the past couple experiences where Michael buys a toy that has a carburetor, you always have to have an emergency kit, a brake fluid spray, and the battery pack. So I was saying, is this going to be one of those, you're going to sell this bike with a little emergency kit with the battery pack and the spray?
Because you end up using the brake fluid or starter fluid or carb cleaner, any of those three things will work usually as a starter fluid. We end up using those because the carburetors just never want to run. Once they get started, they usually run fine. I have no idea what it is, but hey, they run okay. But I just want to tell you that me and carburetors really don't get along, and this one really showed that. So let's get over here and I'll show you the bike. So here we are in front of the bike, and I'm not gonna make you guys wait any longer. I'm gonna start up this bike, and then I'm gonna tell you what we ended up doing. Happened a month ago. So let me turn off the bike and let me tell you how we got this to work. So you watched us in the video. We tore apart the carburetor and we went through it. We cleaned all the needle valves, all the jets, everything, and we thought it would work. It was really, really gummed up, but it did not. So then after that, I cleaned it 2 more times. Each time there was more stuff in it. You see, what I failed to understand was how long this bike actually sat before we bought it. And the guy said it ran, so we bought this bike thinking, you know, we'd get there, fire it up, and ride home and do some aesthetic repairs to it. It ended up not being anywhere close to that. The first thing to start with was the tank. The tank had like an 1/8 inch of rust. So we ended up looking up many videos on how to clean out rust, and we ended up settling on vinegar in there and a few other things like some ball bearings. Clean it in there. That took like a week just to get the tank cleaned out so there's no more rust in it. The next thing is I ordered an entire new carburetor rebuild kit. So all new jets, all new seals, screws, everything. And I rebuilt them completely from the ground up. Everything's brand new. The bike still didn't fire up. So then I was like, are you kidding me? I've done everything I could think of. I replaced all the fuel lines. I put brand new spark plugs in this bike. I made sure every connection was good. And then I found it. There was one loose connection for a throttle position sensor or something. I never really looked up exactly what it was, but I found this wire hanging way down, and I was like, that looks really like it should be connected to something. I plugged it in, and the bike fired right up. Now that's very frustrating for me because this bike was supposed to be sold about a month ago, and so it's just been sitting around, not running, which is super frustrating. You can't even ride it. So in that amount of time, you know, for simple wins, I replaced the seat cover, so it helped me do that. We replaced the handlebar, we put the front windscreen on, looks really nice. We also replaced this missing front fairing piece. So after this, the bike cleaned up really, really well. And now Zoya's gonna tell you about how this whole experience went and what her thoughts are on rebuilding a motorcycle.
Well, I think it's really funny because my friends would be asking, well, how's your motorcycle project going and stuff like that, and I'll be like telling them a little bit about it, and I was like, well, the bottom line, the girlfriend can't really flip a bike. But it's kind of not a fair statement. This project was really tough. I had to sit on the ground for 3 hours trying to figure out how to clean a carb, which was like really confusing, and you never really know if you cleaned it well enough. Cleaning the rusty tank was really interesting for me. I'm a kind of a perfectionist, and I love to like take on projects like that you can kind of see before and after. So that was really fun. The seat also was very satisfying to change and kind of seeing the before and after of the bike, especially with the front. And overall, I really hope this bike serves someone else that can actually ride it. Like, I could never ride this bike. It's like half my size. I'm really happy this project is over, and I really hope the next one will be easier.
So at the end of the day, we both had a great time doing this, but it was incredibly frustrating, and we're super grateful to be done with this project. Even though I ended up doing a good amount of the bike rebuild for this, even though it was supposed to be Zoya, I do want to say that in the future, we're going to do this challenge again, and